Hi, everybody. Welcome to Trek on Tuesday. My name is Aaron. I'll be your host today. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm joined today by a special guest, my new friend Gage. Gage is the ATV director at Dane G. Hansen Scout Reservation. That's a Coronado Area Council scout camp. How are you doing today, Gage?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks so much for joining us today. In case you couldn't tell, the topic of our conversation today, ATVs. We've talked about this a handful of times on this program, and we're going to keep doing it because we like it so much. It's such a cool program. For those of you who don't know, I want to catch you up to speed real quick. Yeah, scouts above a certain age, and we're going to get into the details here in a second, can ride ATVs at several scout camps across the country. And I want to give an early shout out to our good friends at Polaris. Polaris is one of the manufacturers of ATVs, among other outdoor toys, if you will. And we couldn't run our ATV program without them. So we appreciate everything that they do for us. One of the things that they help us do is keep our programs safe. We're going to talk about that too with Gage. Gage is the master. He's the expert. He knows all these things because he runs the ATV program at the, like I said, at Camp Hansen in Kansas, by the way. If I didn't mention, that's in Kansas. So we've got a lot of stuff to talk about, Gage. By the way, guys, also there's a contest. There is a contest here. We're going to talk about that too in another 10 or 15 minutes. We got a lot of ground to cover. Quick shout out to Rusty, who's watching from Ohio. Thank you, Rusty, for tuning in. Appreciate that. Gage, first of all, welcome to the show. Let's see, it's July 23rd right now. I imagine it's been a big summer at Camp Hansen. How are things going out there?
Pretty good. We had 3 weeks of campers. That lasted, what was the first week? Early June, throughout the month of June. Had 3 weeks of campers. It was a good time out there.
Good, awesome. And of course, Gage's specialty is ATVs. I want to remind everybody there are select scout camps that run ATV programs. Behind the scenes, Brian is going to throw up a link where you can get that list if you are interested in knowing about it. So Gage, tell me a little bit about how did you become ATV director? That sounds like a cool, fun summer job. Tell me about what you do.
So I was, last spring, I was doing the after school program here in Salina. And then one of my former college teammates asked me if I could do the ATV director. So I kind of thought it'd be a cool thing. That's him, Brendan Tackett. But he asked me if I could do the ATV directors. So I thought it'd be a cool thing to do. So kind of got through the process of doing that, did a 4-week training at Camp Hansen. And then a week later, I was doing the first week of campers.
That is awesome. Did you say former college teammate?
Yep, we played.
You were an athlete. You were what sport?
Football.
Football. Okay, very, very cool. I got a football player, guys. Very, very cool. So, did you have any experience with ATVs before? Were you a rider?
I rode around like checking cattle, riding along fence lines to make sure the fence was up. That's really about it. I never rode like recreationally.
Gotcha. Yeah. ATVs do have a practical use, by the way. Good reminder there. They are used not only at scout camps, but also for people rely on them to do their jobs. And I hope that those folks get their ATVs from Polaris. I'm just saying it's pretty darn good. So tell me about then the ATV program at Camp Hansen. You know, what do kids experience when they go through that program?
So it was a 2-day course that each class lasted right around 2 hours. The first day, we kind of go a lot into the safety stuff, and then we start doing our ASI safety course, which takes about 3.5 hours to do. You can see the trail ride we're doing there, but starts with just learning the basics, controls, the T-clock of the machine, learning how to start, stop, and just handle the machine, very basics of it. And then we go into a little bit more complex things like sharper turns, turning in a stop or stopping in a turn, riding on hills. And at the very end, we go do our trail ride, which lasts 10 to 15 minutes.
That is awesome. Very, very cool. Carrie says they had ATV offered at their Chickasaw Council summer camp. The classes were full. Yeah, it's a pretty popular program. And I want to say, Brian, if you could throw up that link one more time of the list of scout camps that have ATVs. But I want to say, everybody, you know, it's not a bad idea to contact your local council, because councils are adding programs all the time, so much so that it's kind of hard for us to keep up. So it's not a bad idea. If you don't see your council's camp on this list, shoot them an email, give them a call. They might be in the process of adding a program, and if they're not, maybe that plants a little bug in their ear that they should. It's a really cool program. One of the things I like about the ATV program is the same thing that I like about the Scouting America program in general, Gage. You know, technically speaking, right? Anybody can go whitewater rafting. Anybody can go rock climbing. Anybody can go, if you have, access to an ATV, or if you have enough money, you can buy one. But what scouting offers is a place to do it safe, with your friends, with your family, under the best trained guides and instructors. When scouts go rock climbing, they don't just go put up ropes themselves. They have to do it under certified climbers. It's the same with whitewater rafting and everything like that. ATV riding is exactly the same way. You've got instructors like Gage. We're going to get into here in a little bit the 7 golden rules of ATV safety. But before we just get into those specific, Gage, just tell me in general, how do you guys incorporate safety into your program?
So first of all, in order to even take the course, you have to do an online safety course. So it teaches you the basic safety, basic safety of riding an ATV. It's about an hour and a half long, like, video course. And then after that, we go through and we talk about safety before every single lesson that we do. We talk about the points that we want to make sure we're hitting, and then we do the lesson and make sure they're doing it safely.
Yeah, and that's one of them. Whenever we talk to ATV, Scouting America ATV instructors, I'm always sort of struck by how they use the same type of language that, hiking instructors, backpacking instructors, and all that stuff. All those people use very similar language in that, safety comes first. By the way, quick shout out to I know Tommy Lee. Thank you for joining in, buddy. Good to see you again. Tommy Lee is watching. He says hello. Okay, so who is the ATV program open to? I imagine there's an age minimum, right? Who is allowed to participate?
So at our camp, it was anyone over the age of 14. So
And that would be 14. I imagine at the time camp, they have to be 14 when camp starts.
Yes.
When they start camp. Yeah. So again, if you've got a kid who's going to turn, 14 at some point, maybe time to start thinking about that for next summer. Encourage you once again to contact your local councils. I mentioned before we have a contest to talk about today, and we're going to get into the details of that here. I'm not quite done with Gage yet. We're going to get into the details of that here in just a little bit. It's called Helmet Hair Don't Care. One of the things about safety, and again, we're going to get into this in a second, is helmets. Scouts wear helmets when they go rock climbing because they could fall, or rocks could fall on them. Scouts wear helmets when they do whitewater rafting because they could fall into the river. And whitewater rafting, by its very nature, there are rocks. That's what creates the rapids in the first place. And scouts wear helmets when they ride ATVs. Gage, what can you tell us about ATV helmets? Are those things comfortable?
They're pretty comfortable. Actually, I was surprised about how comfortable they were. They have to be DOT compliant, but they're very comfortable.
You just heard Gage use a phrase there that's very important. Not all helmets are created equal. ATV helmets do not equal rock climbing helmets, do not equal bike riding helmets, right? Whitewater rafting helmets, they are different. They are made for different types of, to protect you from different types of impact, falls, things like that. By the way, spoiler alert, that's one of the 7 golden rules. Gage, what is it about ATV riding that you think people enjoy the most? What's so fun about it?
I think, at least during the camp, we have a summary questions after every single lesson. At the very end of the camp, we ask them what was their favorite part. Everyone always says the trail ride. It's going out, being in nature, riding a machine that's a lot of fun to ride, going up and down hills, over some obstacles, and just being out in the environment, doing something that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's very, very cool. Scout properties, and by the way, that's Camp Hansen we just saw in that video. That looks amazing. Scout properties, to be out in the open like that, so cool. a lot of folks, I think, when you, unless you're maybe doing the hiking merit badge or something like that, maybe you don't get to see that much of the property. ATVs, what a great way to get out and explore. Also want to mention that modern day ATVs a lot more environmentally friendly than they used to be back in my day, Gage. So that's something to point out too. It's not, that used to be kind of an issue, not so much anymore. Real quick, guys, let's talk about our contest. Okay, it's called Helmet Hair Don't Care. One funny thing happens when you put on a helmet. It messes up your hair, which seems kind of crazy, right? So what a neat idea to let's make a photo. Let's have a contest, literally called Helmet Hair Don't Care. Gage and I, our hair is probably similar. Mine's a little grayer than yours, but it's similar lengthwise. Ours maybe doesn't get as messed up as some folks do. We've got a few photos to show you that we've had submitted so far. There's a couple of different ways you can enter the Helmet Hair Don't Care contest. And one of the ways is to submit a photo of your helmet hair. The whole idea is, your hair is going to be messed up when you wear a helmet. Guess what? We don't care. By the way, your helmet hair don't care photos. It doesn't have to be from ATV riding. It could be from anything that requires you to wear a helmet. We've gotten some pretty funny photos over the years of folks with it. It seems like it's one of two things. It's either a super compressed hair on the top of their head, or it's the opposite. It's just sticking up everywhere, I guess, depending on how your hair chooses to behave. That is one way you can enter. By the way, we have the link right there. So if you go to that link, you will see how to send us a picture of your hair. You can also post it on social media using the hashtag, all one word, Helmet Hair Don't Care. And I guess I need to probably mention the prizes, Gage. It's not a contest without prizes. Thanks again to our sponsors with Polaris, who have provided us with it's actually a prize package. It's not even just a single prize. It's a prize package will include a bag, goggles, helmet, and gloves. And again, Polaris, the industry leader in producing this type of gear. So very, very cool. Another way that you can enter the Helmet Hair Don't Care contest is to take the Polaris safety quiz, which is also available on that link right there. And within that link, you will get another link to the scoutlife.org webpage in which there's a safety quiz. Now, I will say, if you want to know about Polaris safety, about ATV riding safely, you've come to the right place, because that's what Gage and I are going to talk about next. There's this thing called the Golden Rules of Safety. Number one, you might be able to guess, you folks might be able to guess what number one is. But again, just to remind our viewers, Gage, let's talk about the helmet. What is you said DOT compliant? That's DOT. What does that mean?
So it's the Department of Transportation has to be approved by them in order to wear it to ride ATVs. So.
By the way, I just want to point out in the comments, Tommy Lee says, "Speak for yourself," says the bald man. Yeah, for some folks like Tommy Lee, wearing a helmet isn't that big of a deal. Bree, unfortunately, my helmet hair submission photo went missing. I did have one of those from last year, but it's mysteriously been erased from all the computers in the world. I don't know how that happened. So sorry, Bree. We will see if we can track that down, though. Yes, so the number one golden rule of ATV safety, always wear an approved helmet and also approved safety clothing. Gage, what kind of clothing do ATV riders wear?
So obviously you need the helmet, you need goggles, you need a long sleeve shirt, you need long pants, and then you need gloves and shoes that cover your ankles.
Gotcha. Very, very important to wear the proper clothing, the proper gear. Again, ATV riding, very much like almost everything else that we do in scouting. Let's move on to the number 2 of our 7 golden rules of ATV safety. Never ride on paved roads except to cross when done safely. Gage, you guys, it looks like the videos we just saw, it's mostly like trail riding, right?
Yep. Yeah, we're out. We have a designated trail that we ride on. It's mostly a grass or dirt trail with a little bit of rocks in there, but we don't ride on any pavement. That's just, the machines aren't designed to ride on pavement. They're designed to ride on that dirt, grass, gravel, where the tires can slip out a little bit. That way they're not sticking and could possibly flip over.
Gotcha. Very, very good to know. Yeah, that's not to say you might not have to cross a road at some point, some trails at some scout camps, maybe cross the road. I've experienced that with a herd of Cub Scouts before. Extremely nerve-wracking. If you're on an ATV, your guide, your trained guide will walk you through that. But in generally speaking, like Gage said, ATVs are designed to be ridden on the trail, that's where the fun is anyway. So it makes sense. Another rule, again, this pretty much applies to everything in scouting: never ride under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Really, not much more to explain there, guys. Just like you shouldn't be driving or anything else under the influence. Certainly, those two things have no place in scout camps. So that's pretty self-explanatory. The next one is interesting, Gage, because a lot of people might not realize this. There are single rider ATVs, and are they called dual riders? How does that work, Gage?
Oh yeah, dual riders, double
Okay.
double passenger ATVs.
And what's the difference?
So single rider, it's designed to just carry one person. That's just so that the weight on the ATV is dispersed correctly. And then there's a passenger ATVs where they're a little bit longer and can carry one person, but never more than one. And then that's, again, the weight just needs to be dispersed correctly.
And that's important to note. The ATVs these machines are designed by engineers, and they design them that way for a reason. They're either made to carry one person or two people, and it's not a good idea to try to fit two people on an ATV that's designed to carry one person. It would be very much like trying to put an extra person on a kayak or a raft or whatever you're doing, a rock climbing rope, right? It's made to support one person, not multiple people. So that's a very important rule. Our next rule, Gage: ride an ATV that's right for your age. Okay, that's interesting. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so there's a couple of there's posted stickers on them that say, don't ride if you're under 14, don't ride if you're under 16, and then don't ride if you're under 18. And that's basically just the size of the ATV. So we had a couple of them that were smaller for the 14-year-old campers to ride, and that's just they can put their weight further to one side or the other, and they're not going to have the risk of tipping like they could on the bigger ones, and they may not be strong enough to control the handlebars of the bigger ones.
Yeah, the thing about these golden rules is they're not meant to be as just general suggestions. These are rules for a reason. The ATVs are designed to function that way, and they are designed to be age appropriate for a certain age. As you said, Gage, 14 and up is the minimum age anyway at scout camps. So that makes total sense. If you're another golden rule: supervise riders younger than 16. ATVs are not toys, just like in most places, if you're younger than 16, you can't drive a car. It kind of makes sense that you wouldn't be able to ride an ATV unsupervised, at least. Talk about that a little bit, Gage. I mean, most scouts understand this kind of thing, right? But how would you explain to a scout that an ATV is not a toy?
There can be dangerous if used incorrectly. They are machines that can go 30, 40 miles an hour. And if you're not doing it safely, you could wreck and seriously injure yourself if you're not being careful. So that's the main reason I would say, but I'm sure there's a ton of others.
And you might be thinking 30 miles an hour doesn't sound that fast. It is. When you're sitting on an ATV in open air, just a foot or two off the ground, it is. And it's very, very fun, and it's very, very safe as long as you follow these golden rules. This next one is a good one too. Ride only on designated trails, speaking of speed, at a safe speed. I'm just guessing, Gage, when you're on a trail, you're probably not maxing that thing out. You're probably not putting the pedal to the metal the entire time. Is that right?
Right. Yeah. So at a Camp Hansen, we had a designated trail that we rode for our trail ride, and then we had a max speed that was 25 miles an hour, but we rarely hit that max speed.
Yeah, and you don't need to be quite frankly, you don't really need to do that. I want to mention one more thing that you mentioned earlier about a course that scouts take. Am I right that scouts take an online course to prepare for ATV rides?
Yep. Anybody
Do
that
they do,
takes the
do
course
they
has
do
to
that
take.
at the camp, or do they do that before they get there?
So they're supposed to do it before they get there. We had a couple of people that didn't quite do it, but they got it done before the class started, so it wasn't a big deal.
Gotcha. Okay, but so ideally that's a video training that they would take before they even arrive. I believe it's called the ATV Rider Course. How long does that take? You said. I'm sorry, I think you just said it.
It can take about an hour to hour and a half, depending on how quickly you move through it and answer the
Gotcha. Gotcha.
questions.
Gotcha. Definitely worth taking. Want to remind everybody we are opening up this year's Helmet Hair Don't Care photo contest. You can enter by two ways. Number one is to send a picture of your helmet hair. And I want to remind everybody it doesn't have to be ATV helmet hair. It could be ATV helmet hair, but it could also be bike riding helmet hair, rock climbing helmet hair, whitewater rafting helmet hair. I can't think of all the other helmets that might be wear. You can submit those to us at the link below, or you can post them to social media using the hashtag helmet hair don't care. You can also enter the helmet hair don't care contest by taking the Polaris safety quiz, which is also at that link. Thank you very much, Brian. By the way, we just went over the safety rules. So when we're done here, if you want to click on a link, as a reminder, everybody, when we're done, this video will stay here. You can go back and kind of scroll through, and we'll give you all the answers. We basically just gave you the answers to that quiz. So please go through and do that. Gage, so let's just say that you met a family as a teenage kid. They're going to scout camp this summer or next summer or whatever it is. Their kid's old enough to do ATVs. You run an ATV program. What's that like? What's your elevator pitch? You just got 30 seconds or so to sell them on it. What do you tell them?
I mean, it's a ton of fun. You get to go out, ride a machine can go pretty fast. You get to learn new skills. You learn safety. You get to go right around the whole camp, see it in 10 minutes when it would take you 2 hours to go walk around the whole thing. I think it's a ton of fun. I think everyone should try it at least once.
Awesome. Very, very cool. By the way, I want to put up, Brian, if you could one more time, that list of scout camps that are currently running ATV programs. Again, though, if you're interested, it might be worth it to reach out to your local council. Just kind of plant a little bug in there, ask them if they offer a program. And if they don't, just maybe let them know that you'd be willing to sign up. If they did, there are camps adding ATV programs all the time. So appreciate that. By the way, if you work for a scout camp and you would like to offer an ATV program, we can help you do that. I would say, the best thing to do is email me on scouting@scouting.org if you're interested in that, and I can put you in touch with the right person. I don't want to give out this person's email address without their permission. So just email me on scouting@scouting.org. We can help make that happen for you if you're interested in doing that. I want to talk about one more topic before we let you go, Gage. Working at a scout camp, it sounds fun. Tell us about what that experience overall is like. You get to work with young people. Sometimes, speaking of helmet hair, maybe you want to pull your hair out. But no, what's that like for real for the most part?
No, it was great. So my main job was the ATV director, but I also taught the golf merit badge, and then was around camp hanging out, playing games with the kids. It's a ton of fun. You get to interact with the kids. You get to be a role model for the kids. You get to show them how to act and how to treat people. So it's a fun time.
That is awesome. Yeah, if anybody is interested in doing something like that, definitely reach out to your local council. If you have any kind of experience with ATVs or something like that, they might be able to put you to good work. And by the way, when you said that, you said the golf merit badge.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool to point out that scouts who participate in the ATV program, they have time to do other stuff at summer camp, right? It's not ATVs 12 hours a day.
No.
So they have
Definitely.
the opportunity to earn golf merit badge, swimming. Maybe they want to knock out some of those Eagle required badges, which are always popular at summer camps. Very, very, very cool, guys. As a reminder, again, Helmet Hair Don't Care photo contest. It's happening. It's happening right now. There's probably people posting their pictures online just since we started. Everything you need to know about that is at the link right now. Gage, thanks so much for joining us today. Any final thoughts on ATVs that we can share with our viewers before we let you go?
I think just go give it a try. Go take a safety course. Just try it out. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you actually mentioned that's a great point. You can go take the online course. You don't have to be headed to a scout camp to ride ATVs. To take that online course to get certified, or sorry, not certified, but just to begin that process of training. Polaris, our good friends at Polaris, I want to thank them very much again for providing many of the ATVs that are used at scout camps across the country. They're the best. That's why we use them. And again, I do this a lot, but I find myself, comparing it when we do, we do scuba diving, when we do rock climbing, when we do these sort of specialty activities, we always partner up with the best. And that's why we are partnering with Polaris for this. Hey, Gage, thanks so much for your time today, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you all for watching at home. Thank you for joining us. Enter that helmet hair don't care photo contest when you have the chance. And otherwise, we will see you on down the road on the next episode of Trek on Tuesday. Bye, everybody. See you, Gage.
See ya.